Jai Jinendra. Very warm welcome to everyone for our continuing series of In Conversation programs. Today we have got an absolutely fascinating In Conversation with Nithinbhai Sonawane. He's actually joining us from his hometown in Pune, where it's around 2 o'clock in the morning. So very warm welcome to him. As is usual, before we commence any program, we will start with the Nauka Mantra. We have two parts today to our program. First, after the prayer, we are going to pay our tribute to the late Harshadbhai Sanghrajka. So first and foremost, if I can ask Kajal Ben to come forward and recite the Nauka Mantra, please. And if everyone can please stay on mute, that would be fantastic. Kajal, if you can unmute.
Jai Jinendra, everyone. Om Namo Arihantaram Namo Siddharam Namo Ayariyanam Namo Vajayanam Namo Loye Savasahuram Eso Panchanamukaro Savapava Panasanu Mangalaram Cha Savesim Padmam Havai Mangalam Padmam Havai Mangalam. Over to you.
Thank you, Kajal Ben, for that lovely recitation of the Nauka Mantra. You will all be aware that on 26th of October, a very well-known, important figure within the Jain community passed away. Harshadbhai Sanghrajka gave a huge contribution to the Jain community. Today, the trustees of Veerayatan and SCVP, Prakashbhai Patalia and Navinbhai Sanghrajka will pay a tribute to Harshadbhai. So if I can first call upon Prakashbhai to say a few words, followed by Navinbhai thereafter.
Thank you, Nitinbhai, for the introduction. And yes, I'm Prakash Patalia from South London, Channa Vidyapit. And I've been a trustee of Veerayatan for the last 25, 26 years, and have been one of the person with Channa Vidyapit in South London. And fortunately, it's still running with an adult class. With the help, of course, it was Harshadbhai. I find it very difficult to say anything on it. Without him, it would have been difficult. We had an intent in the beginning with only 25 to 30 people at my home, and that we used to run on Tuesday night. We used to travel from Stanmore every Tuesday, would you believe it, to come and help us in giving us the knowledge on Jain religion. He was totally devoted for that cause, actually, come what may. And just because after a few years, he met with an accident while reaching home at midnight, his car was right off. But he and Bhabi Rumilaben both were saved. And we decided to run a class on Saturday morning now. So then he still did not stop, do you believe it? And he would come every Saturday to Channa Vidyapit. At 10 o'clock in the morning, I used to go and collecting from the tube, Edge Balam. He used to travel from Edgware, along with Bhabi. Bhabi was always a great supporter of Harshadbhai. Without her, I don't think Harshadbhai would have managed everything altogether. There was a great couple. I would always used to say Sita and Ram Sita and George. And yes, he has changed the complete lives of the people, not only in Channa Vidyapit, the south of the river, the community, Jain community. We were also involved with, as I told Nitinbhai right from the beginning, that we were involved with the OA UK South London Oswald Association and Gujarati School all together. And he had actually lectured twice, 2 years at the Parisian time in Majanbari. People loved it. The only reason he became very popular because we could understand the language he was using was so simple, no jargon words were used. And so any normal person who haven't had any idea of Jainism would actually understand so well. And he spoke in Gujarati very well. He spoke in English very well. But I think before I go any further, I must read out his life so people would understand exactly what he was. Harshadbhai was born in Amreli in Gujarat on 4th May 41 and moved to Africa at a very young age. His family settled in Nairobi in Kenya and attained the primary and secondary education. He left school at a very young age. And why he left at a very young age? Because he was the eldest in his house. So at that time, I suppose those who have come from Africa, they know our parents were working very hard to establish. And even the elder member of the family would be there to help to fulfill the lives of the family. And he took a career with Shell Petroleum. He got married at 24 years with Urmila Ben, 6th of February 1964 in Zanzibar. So you'd be surprised, he went all the way to the small Indian Ocean island, Zanzibar, to look for his loved one. They continued to live in Nairobi, and their first son, Mehul, 1966 was born. And then second, Harshit, was born in 1970. He had a love for Jain religion and to do seva and help the community. So he was a secretary of Stanakwasi Jain Mandal in Nairobi and took the responsibility of actually steering the community. He was a great secretary, as I was told, very methodical, perfect. He stuck to it. He stuck by his principles, and that helped him to run the place in Nairobi so well. He worked hard and quickly moved to IBM in 1968 at the age of 27. He traveled around Africa and stayed with IBM for 25 years. Harshadbhai was sent by IBM in 1978 on an assignment to London for 3 years. And then he came back after 3 years to Nairobi and did not waste any more time, and he came down to London in 1981 to settle down. He continued to work for IBM and traveled the world extensively. He was given assignment in the USA, Europe, UK. So he was a person who had traveled so many places, and he had a multicultural experience with so many religions as well. His craving for religion was there all the time, even whilst moving around the world. And he picked up so many different languages, but yet he knew Sanskrit well, he knew Prakrit well, he knew English well, and Gujarati. And wherever he was, he lived a very simple life, because I have been with him traveling in India over West in pilgrimage and attending his swadhyaya or lectures wherever he was asked to do that for Jain courses. Especially one, I traveled with him in Australia to Perth, where he delivered Jain Foundation course. And would you believe it? There were 140, 150 people. Well, they were the college students, originally from India. They had no idea what Jain Foundation course was. And when I attended, I witnessed it very well, that his way of explanation was so simple. All loved it, because the people from India who had come in a college, they had only known the where go to temple and pay respect, or pratikramana time, just go and sit there for a while. But they had no idea of what the sutra meant, what pratikramana meant, and why do we follow the Jain Sutra so strictly, which he explained in such a nice way that for 10 days continuously, he did it for more than 2.5 hours every night in Perth, which I was impressed thoroughly. That he had a good attendance of 140, 150 students from age of 20 to 35 to 40. He retired from IBM for 25 years, having achieved quite a lot, learned a lot. And would you believe it, at the age of 62, Harshadbhai decided to attend the university and enroll for a master's degree in religion, which he loved, as I've just said. He was craving for more knowledge into religion. And most importantly, he was taking part in interfaith conferences, meeting other religious people as well. And thereby, he could come and talk to us all about his experience with meeting other religions as well. He then went on to do PhD in Jainism and celebrated, and it was a great celebration for the family, friends, and peers as well. He was lecturing about Jainism across the world and was asked to lead mass prayers for many people. Harshadbhai was also invited to Vatican in Rome to represent the Jain faith and attend multi-faith conferences. And I was given an opportunity by once the One Jain was formed to represent interfaith conference in Compassion. I had taken my teachers along with me, 4 teachers. And when we were there, we were approached by many other faiths asking us, how did you manage to do one Jain? And it was the idea of, would you believe it, Harshadbhai here in the United Kingdom, along with his group in Institute of Jainology, collected all the organization of Jain and said, let's have one voice as one Jain. Because Bhagwan, everyone talked about Bhagwan Mahavir message. And nobody wanted to know what Digambar or Svetambar is, or what Sthanakvasi is, or what the Murti Pujak is and all that. So we were successful, and that was because of the idea of Harshadbhai, who brought one Jain. Would you believe it? Thousands of years ago, there was difference of opinion. That's why Digambar and Jainism and Svetambar and Therapanthi and all was formed. But this is the only country, United Kingdom, which has got one Jain. And the people there at the Vatican were asking us, how did you manage to do that? Because the Hindus, Swaminarayans, and the Baha'i and Islam and Catholics could not do that. And yet we were a bit surprised, they were a bit surprised that we could do this one, because we have one voice to the parliamentary group, one voice whenever they want us an interface. So that gave us an idea as such. He continued to use his knowledge to pass it to the others, to distribute, to contribute, to help understand with a very simple language, not a jargon language. As you all know, Bhagwan Mahavir, during his time, taught in Prakrit, because the people there, well, the main language was Prakrit, layman's language, not Sanskrit. So that's what Harshadbhai had identified. And he actually, when he was here in South London, that's how I came to know, people loved his way of explanation. And he started in South London in 2000 exactly, sorry, whereby we were stuck on one of the subject called in Jain path of purification, was a subject of, sorry, I forgot it now, it's out of my mind, nature of reality. We could not understand well. So I was speaking to him in North London when I met him. And he said, Prakash Bhai, I'll be there. And when he came, would you believe it? He brought his PowerPoint projectors, screen, and so many photocopies as such to explain everybody. So we were so impressed. So we asked him, could you please come and help us develop our mind, or give us what Jain religion is all about, rather than going through the books and learning the jargon language we can't understand. Of course he says, and that's how he was involved. And I must say that we miss him a lot. The reason is he was like a father figure, colleagues, a real father figure, always advised us, supported us, gave us an idea how to approach. Now those attending students, we had 45 to 50 attending adult classes on Saturday morning, and the attendants were all professionals with a great NHS background, doctors, pharmacists, optometrists, you name it, radiographers and all that. And they loved his way of explanation. He used to spend 2 to 3 hours with us. Now that he's no more with us actually here, I know nobody lives forever. I hope even Bhagwan Mahavir lived for a good, so we know him. But same, Harshadbhai lived a life like Mahatma Gandhi. When I traveled with him, he carried a very small suitcase with few pair of clothes with him, nothing more than that. We used to go around the city. He never did any shopping while I went to the shopping. And I still remember when I used to crave for some good food, I said, Harshadbhai, let's go to the restaurant. He said, yeah, I'll give you a company. He would come and sit, but would not eat with me, but he will let me eat, would not stop me. But he would eat at the house where we are actually invited or at ashram. What he preached, actually he practiced in real life. And that's what he taught us a lot. And he taught us about the different religion. They're all same. There's no difference. They all believe in non-violence, they say. It's just that after a few years of so many interpretations that has changed it, but all the religion are still same. Because as we know in Mangal Path, we say, Tammo Logutamo. That means there is only one religion. And then that's what he has been saying it. I find it very difficult to accept it. We miss him so much. And South London, the community as a whole, not only Channa Vidyapith, we shall miss him a lot. But yes, he converted, he changed life of many, many of whom I know personally now for the last 22 years, what they were and what they are now. God bless his soul. Thank you very much, Nithinbhai, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Prakash Bhai. Real insight into a remarkable character in Harshadbhai. So over now to Nithinbhai to say a few words on behalf of SCVP and Veerayatan as well, before we pass on to Mehulbhai to say a final word. Nithinbhai. Nithinbhai, you're on mute. That's it. Okay.
Jai Jainism, everyone. It is my privilege to pay homage to Dr. Harshadbhai Nanlal Sanghrajka, MBE, PhD in Jainism. Harshad Kaka is, to me, his uncle as well, was a great pillar to look up to not only our Sanghrajka family, but the Jain community in UK, Kenya, Singapore, Australia, and many others. He was one of our first Jain guru to adult class of Channa Vidyapith. Established in 1996, the first Jain school by Veerayatan UK under the guidance of Puja Acharyaji and Sadhisi Silabiji Maharaj. I am sure a lot of us who attended the adult class in North London remember his explicit, simplified teaching. I remember very clearly the way he explained Atma Siddhi, Shastra by Srimad Rajchandra. I would also like to mention here the regular tapasya which he did every Paryushan, from Attai, Navai, Kir Samudra, 16 Apas, and Maskaman too. He also did Varsitap here in London, and I was always amazed to see his full sata. And during the tapasya also, he would always recite Pratikaman at Navnath Center for the community members in the evening, during the tapasya days as well. We will miss his guidance and knowledge immensely. We went to see Puja Harshadbhai during his illness, and the calmness he showed and the acceptance of physical pain proved his samta, equanimity, as a real practicing Jain. I would say in Gujarati, પૂજ્ય કાકા તમે જે સુવાસ ફેલાવી છે અને તે જ જ્ઞાનની જ્યોત બધા દેશોમાં ફેલાવી છે તે હંમેશ માટે જીવંત રહેશે. We would pray that his soul rest in eternal peace and his journey toward liberation will be rapid in shortest possible time. Om Shanti, Jai Jinendra. Thank you.
Thank you, Nithinbhai, for those words. I now call upon Mehulbhai, Harshadbhai's son, to say a few words on this evening before we continue the adult class. Mehulbhai?
Thank you, Sandipbhai, and Jai Jinendra. I think firstly, I just want to start by saying that I'm grateful to both Prakashbhai and Navinbhai for their kind words. I think my dad would have been rather embarrassed to hear other people talking about him in this way, but it's so lovely to see that he touched so many people, and we know that because we've had so many calls of condolence and messages and support and love, and it means a lot to know that somebody was able to do that. For my part, I think the thing that it has taught me is that somebody born in rural Gujarat can have a successful career at IBM and still have time to go to university and then go around the world lecturing. And many people remember his paryushanas, his recitation of Pratikaman, his tapascharya. He did Mas Khaman. He got an MBE from the Queen for his work on Jain religion. So, it says that it doesn't matter where your beginnings are. It doesn't matter how difficult your life is. What matters is your will and determination, and then the support and love of the people around you to be able to do that. And he certainly had that in spades. And, what he has achieved has in many ways inspired us. Although we mourn his loss, we know that he's in a better place. And I think we're all the more inspired by hearing people recount their memories and their tales. And I hope it motivates others to do the same. So thank you so very much for remembering him. And I hope that you're all going to be able to join us for the memorial concert we've held in his name tomorrow. And we look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you, Mehulbhai, for those words. Yes, I was just going to mention the memorial concert, but it's at 2:00 tomorrow UK time. So we'll put the information on the chat. But certainly, if one thing, he's left a lasting legacy in yourself in continuing the good work of Jainism with One Jain and everything you do. And again, on behalf of SCVP and Veerayatan, our sincere condolences to the whole family on this loss as well. But certainly a remarkable man. So thank you, Mehulbhai, for
thank you so much.
Words. Now moving on to our conversation program. So we welcome back our dear friend Nithinbhai Sonawane, who some of you may recall was here about 15 months ago. Nitinbhai is actually live from Pune, his hometown, where he reached apparently only a few days ago. It's around 2:00 in the morning there. Nitinbhai is an engineer, last 5 years, been traveling around 46 countries, is a peace activist and a message of nonviolence, and in particular Gandhiji's message. So without further ado, can I call upon Ketanbhai Varia and Nitinbhai both in terms of commencing the conversation evening. Ketanbhai?
Thank you so much, Shandipbhai. Hi, good morning, Nitinbhai. It's early morning for you in India. And so welcome to our In Conversation With. So just for people there, let me just say a little bit more about Nitinbhai. As Shandipbhai said, he's an engineer. He has traveled 46 countries and he has walked and cycled 40,000 kilometers and only done it for one purpose, really to spread Gandhi's message on peace and non-violence to schools and public institutions. Now, often many of us have traveled around the world or traveled into countries, but Nitinbhai traveled with very little money and very little baggage. He lived and walked and went to all these countries and based his living in those countries based on the goodwill and good nature of other people. And I think that's a tribute to some of the things that he has discovered during his travel. He has walked and cycled in China, South Africa, Peru, and of course the UK. I was very fortunate to meet him in 2019. He only got back after a 5-year journey yesterday at his village, which is called Rashin near Pune. So we are very, very fortunate to speak to him just as he has finally put his bags down. And so welcome Nitinbhai and welcome to this evening.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nitinbhai.
Thank you. Well, let's start first of all with your upbringing, Nitinbhai. Tell us a little bit about where we know you're in a village, but tell us a bit about your upbringing and take us to the point before you started your journey.
Yeah. So, Jai Jagat to everyone, and this is my pleasure to be in front of you all for a long time, and I'm so blessed and also grateful to the people across the world who supported me for the last 5 years. So it's been a amazing years, last 5 years, that give me a lot. And finally, I just settled down in my home in Rashin. So this is very small village near Pune, although it has a big market. And in my family, we got now my mother, 2 brothers, my auntie, and 5 children together with my brother's family. So it's a big family, still like living together in a village. And yeah, so in early childhood, my father used to drink a lot. So here in India, the caste structure, it's terrible, and it's hard. Like when I was coming yesterday, people were asking my surname. So when I was outside, it's asking surname, it's like asking me caste, and I feel like so terrible. Like I was outside, I was Indian. Then when I come to India, I was in Maharashtrian. Then I was coming to Pune. I said I'm from, so it's me like Russian. And then now they're asking like my caste. It was a little bit hard for me last 2 days, but meeting my parents and family, my mother especially, she was waiting for me for long. So I'm happy and yeah, I'm grateful. So my mother used to sell a fish in the market, and my father, he was drinking a lot of alcohol, so he left us early when I was 14. And I got 2 brothers, so because of the economic situation in my family, they left the school and they start working, and they did a good job afterward. They're working hard, and they built this house, and now I'm sitting there. So at the age of 17, so in my family, my mother, she practiced Christianity. My father used to practice Ramadan, fasting for 1 month. My grandmother, she used to practice Sikhism, a small sect of Sikhism. And when I was last time in my home, there was like all gods was together. Now because this home changed, so it's different now. But 5 years ago, it was like all gods staying together. And I think so this was like the greatest thing for me to learn and respect all religion. I used to go to church, I used to go to mosque, I used to go to temple, Buddhist temple. And also we have, in my village, we have church, big Jain temple, a lot of Hindu temple, a lot of mosque. and then a Buddhist temple. So 5 different this group are staying together happily. And yeah, so at the age of 17, so because of this all reason, I was confused. And science inspired me a lot to seek for more questions. And at the age of 17, I left my home in search of truth, which is like the way, why does we exist, and the whole universe. So I left for one day. I went to from Russian to Pune and stay for a night. But yeah, once I called my friend Roshikesh, and he told me that your parents they are looking for you everywhere. So I got disturbed, and then I back home, and then I did engineering, and then worked 6 months in engineering. And then this question was there, like I still predict my future about after working in telecom. I said, no, this is not going to be my life. So I quit my job, and then I worked with Maharashtra Gandhi Smarak Nidhi, which is a Gandhian organization in Pune, for 1.5 years, and where I used to fight against the casteism and to bring different religious people together. So after working 1.5 years, I began this journey. And this was a time where I got connected with the Gandhian ideas, and especially like for fighting for justice, equality, for truth. That was 1.5 years. So I understand Gandhi through my work. Because when I see the society, I understand the importance of Gandhiji.
Thank you. Thank you, Nitinbhai. It's just incredible how at the age of 17, you felt that you wanted to change, and you wanted to see a change in the world, and you ventured out. And despite that setback where you went back, you then continued after your degree. And you talked about Gandhi inspiring you for justice and for truth. When did that kind of passion from inside? When was it there? Was it there from childhood, or was it there at teenagehood, or did some incident happen when that really got ignited, where you felt that you really had to go and seek something bigger and larger?
Yeah, so this the event that happened at the age of 17, I think that was a very big event in my life. Uh, I got disturbed with this whole civilization, the way it acts, the society, the religion, everything. And although there's so many questions that I got, and that was, I think, the biggest inspiration to go towards the truth. And in my working in Gandhian organization, I realized that Gandhiji also was truth seeker throughout his life.
Yes.
Every time he was used to to get something new knowledge and truth, and he was changing himself constantly. So that was, I think, the biggest the inspiration for me to get to become close with him. So he became my friend in my that 1.5 year.
Thank you. I see so many parallels there, right? Between Gandhi seeking of truth and the journey you started. Okay, so let's talk about your journey, and you obviously covered so many countries. Maybe you want to share an incident. Particularly, I want to know more about you. You have met more nationalities, more people from all backgrounds than probably 99.999% of the world. What have you discovered about people?
So when I decided to travel and to celebrate life of Gandhi, celebrating 150 years, and seeking the truth, like that, two different motives. So the journey was based on generosity of people, because once you have something in your pocket, then you don't go to the people. You go to the hotels, and so you keep a distance from people. So this journey was just based on generosity of people, kindness of people, and I think this was the biggest asset of my journey, to be have trust in humanity and just keep going on with the bhav that I want to see the peace, and the bhav that I want to see people not suffer, animals and plants. So that bhav keep me alive, day to day, keep going on from day to day for years, and now like it's been 5 years. So the people across the world, like incredible. Like Thailand was my first country, and it was incredible. Like I stay so many Buddhist temples there, and the monks were so compassionate. I had never seen such people in my life. So every time, like I say, like, okay, that's enough. Like this is like the highest point of human being. But every time when I go more and more and more, I see like, wow, I just like it's like magical to see like such a beautiful people every time, like different amazing people. So people are like incredible. Like you never say like, okay, this is the last standard of human being, but they're like always higher and higher and higher. They cultivate their life so greatly. It inspired me a lot. So wonderful people from Africa to China to Japan, America, South America, Europe, Afghanistan. Like my last country was Afghanistan, and wow, I never seen such like the pain carried people like this. Their life is so hard. I don't know how they are still like keeping themselves up, so struggling, and still at the same time like they don't know like they can survive or not, or their family or the security or everything. But one thing, like even though in such a hard time, in harsh conditions, they were so kind with me. They're offering me food and water. So I think so it was incredible. Like everything was like about money and fight and insecurity. But even this time I was there 4 months ago, and people were so kind with me. So never underestimate, I think so, people kindness and humanity. It's, I think, so greatest thing I discovered across the world.
Thank you, Nitin. It's wonderful to hear that people who have, particularly here in the West, 100 times more difficulties than us, they still are very generous and kind, despite being in war zones or having incredible problems themselves. I wanted to ask you about specific countries that really touched you. Which countries and what experience within those countries left a very deep mark in you?
So Japan and Ireland, then I got Zimbabwe, Sudan, Afghanistan also, Uzbekistan. So they are like, it's so hard to choose like which one, but they're like many like them, like all of them are like my best countries. So especially like in Zimbabwe, life was so hard, but people were so kind and so generous there in Zimbabwe. Very gentle people, like bow to us. Like in Africa, we walk for eight months from South Africa to Kenya, and I was with a Buddhist monk from Japan. He used to drum and chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and I was having a banner, a big backpack, and on the road. So people from the field, like they say, "Oh, stop! What you are selling?" So they come. They don't like. They are very simple people. So they come and they ask, and they say, "Let's come to our home. Let's take a rest here or stay one night, and then go tomorrow." So gentle, very gentle people from Zimbabwe. Sudan is also was incredible. Like and one day it was like 45-degree temperature. I was under some small tree. I was like sitting early morning. It's like 9 a.m. And this one guy came. He said, "Man, come to my home. Let's have some tea." Then I went to his home. He offered me tea, food, and he introduced me to his family. He said, "Take some rest here, and then because it's too hot, let's take some rest, and then you can start your journey." So amazing people in Sudan. Like I walk along the Nile River, and when it gets hot, I go and dip inside Nile, and then I meet people there as well. So they offer me food at the Nile area. So yeah, Cambodia also was amazing. Thailand, Buddhist monk, Japan. Although the society is like very well organized, so there is no space for the person like me. Even though they host me, like it's not easy there, but still they host me in a temple, in church, But yeah, and the nature itself in Japan was incredible as well.
Thank you, Nitin. Now, in many places, you went and spoke about Gandhi, in schools, colleges, government agencies. How are you received when you spoke in countries where maybe Gandhi is not well known, or maybe there's not a big Asian population? What was the reception like?
I think so many part of the world, like Gandhiji is well known. Most of the countries and people who get good education, like graduation or high school, they know Gandhiji very well.
Yes.
So I think so. I think he is the only one man in the world, a political leader and saint who he has a statue all across the world. I think so. No one in the entire world that has a statues, like more than 17 countries. So he's well known and very powerful, highly energetic. Like his energy is still there all across the world. While I was in Sudan, Sudan is one of the violent countries in the past, and even though today, because they have this weapon in their arms, even though today, and they start their protest against our government, fight against dictatorship. I think that they fought with the non-violence. Still, this protest is still going on, and they never give up on the non-violence. So it was. I can feel the Gandhiji there. Although in India it's hard. Like in outside, people receive Gandhi very well. They receive me very well. They ask very good questions. Mostly they have a little bit confusion with violence and non-violence. And although it's not that difficult to explain that. So because the ratio of non-violence protest is much higher than the violence protest. So it's a number and it's much higher. And yeah, it's Gandhi is everywhere. In India, it's hard because when I was walking in India, many of people like it's a hard time in India. There's a lot of opposition for Gandhi. I don't know like what's happened here, but I hope in the future it will change. India will. The people in India know much more about Gandhiji.
Thank you, Nitin. And it's so interesting. Just a couple of things you talked about how at the moment Gandhi is, in some places in India or by some people not revered as he should be. While when you went outside of India, almost universally, people, knew Gandhi's message. What's really interesting from what I just picked up is people do protest against injustice. Nobody likes injustice. But what I've heard is people protest in a non-violent way, generally, most of the time. I guess in the news, we only hear about violent protests. We don't hear about the non-violent protests because it doesn't make the news. So I think that's an incredible insight that you picked up. I just wanted to turn a little bit towards our own Chandya Vidyapith. As you know, we are followers of Mahavir Bhagwan of Jainism. And I know that during your travels, you read a little bit about Jainism. What connections did you find between your journey and Jainism?
Seeking a truth, I think so. This is the connection and the practice of non-violence. So I was a non-vegetarian until 25, and after walking in Japan, that's made me like huge change because what I observe in the Jainism and all most of the religion in India, like especially Buddha, Jaina, and Gandhiji, Bhavi, these are the walkers, the Tirthakaris. They just move from place to place, and walking is, I think, one of the greatest way to connect with the nature, to observe the reality, and that reality is like we are the one, and I think so. That's the biggest message of Jainism, that we all universe is the one. All the animals, plants, and trees. So we should not harm each other because we are the one. So, and I experienced that in my Japan journey, and I become vegetarian. So I understand not from the books but from my personal experience, and that was, I think, so more profound. That's made a huge change in my life while walking in Japan. After that, I went to Jeju Island. And what happened in Jeju Island, that I was protesting against the South Korean Navy base, and with the 100 peace activists. So one of our peace activists and coastal guard of that base, they had a fight, and I realized this is not a way of non-violence. So something is missing. So what I did, next day I took one flower and I went to this coast guard and I said, man, take this flower. And I said, you are a good person. And he replied, no, I'm not a good person. And I got a shock, like I was not expecting that answer from him. So I just I say, like, just follow your heart, don't be harsh on these people. And I left, because before that I was walking in Japan and South Korea. I was so peaceful, and my bhav was so clear, very beautiful bhav that was in my heart. So when I went next day, this coast guard, he said, hey man, come here. I said, what? I said, I want to take a selfie with you. Got so shocked, like, wow, like I just got decided how Gandhiji fought against the British and then South Africa. All this, like, once you have love in your heart, I think so the change will come automatically. So that was, I think, the biggest incident on this path in last 5 years. And it's all about your mind. Once you cultivate hate, and if you cultivate the hate will come out. You cultivate love, the love will come out. And if you cultivate the violence, like the hate, that transforms into violence. So this is the first step, like, about non-violence, to how to keep your mind pure. So I think so that was the thing. And afterward, in my lectures all across, like in America, and I put Mahavir Jain as image, and I talk about the how to practice non-violence, like very high level. And Jainism is, I think, one of the best practice to practice non-violence. So about mask and food and like whole life of Jain people. So I was like pretty much impressed, and I connected with so many Jain organizations and with so many people, and they welcome me a lot. And I think so Jain community is only that practice non-violence so well. So I have deep admiration for Jain community all across the world.
Thank you, Nitin. I think it's wonderful to hear about how you made changes, how you became vegetarian. I think you went vegan for a while as well. As while on your journey, it came to you on your journey, and you probably know that our Tirthankar Mahavir Bhagwan, he went and he took Diksha and spent 12.5 years in a forest, wandering in a forest, to get insight, to get the truth. It's just wonderful to hear about how so many people share that need to find the truth, and they find it in traveling and meeting and in practicing compassion. So that's great to hear. I just want to change the topic a little bit and talk about dark days. I want to ask you, what, when you've traveled so much, you traveled on your own with virtually nothing, there will be days where things are difficult. And I want to understand what happened in those very difficult times and how you overcame them.
When I started the journey, I was very clear and very inspired, like, to seek the truth. So I don't remember, like, my first year that I was having any struggle. Like, I was just moving. I was just moving place to place, meeting people, and I never feel like anything about my body. But I think when I realize now, I see a lot of pain. But when I was going at the first 1 year, it was just like moving, just keep going. So I didn't see that much hardness in the first year. In Rwanda, my leg got broke, and it was a little bit hard time, but that teaches me a lot. So
what did it teach you?
it teaches me to have, like, gratitude to my body. to respect this physical form. I was just like thinking about spirituality and all, but I think the body, it is a form of energy, and it's not different than your spiritual life. It's the same thing. It's not a difference. So after that, I realized that I should take care of my body. And in South Africa, when we were at like one place, this one guy come, like not come, we went to one shop and he showed us one weapon and he tried to rob us there. And but like I feel nothing, like it was I having nothing, just one mobile and nothing. So I explained that what we are doing. I was at the Buddhist monk at that time. And at the end of our talk, he took a selfie with us and he went. So he took a selfie only, nothing more than that. So there was some, in the COVID time, it was hard time to choose where to go. So it just like 3 months, I was like just confused, like where to go. And so that was the confusion. It happened in COVID time. And also at the same time, I went to the nature more in the COVID time, because it's not good to stay with people most of the time. So in Turkey and Serbia, most of the places, I went to mountains and rivers and I camped over there. And so that's also a good part of my journey, to be with the nature.
Nitin, I think I know that we should be, Gandhi wanted the search for the truth, and so do you. But I don't think you're being 100% truthful. I think you have experienced some days where it would have been very, very difficult. I think, for example, if I'm right, you are in the United States, where you are traveling in very, very cold weather, and you have no access to food, and you are camping in sub-zero temperatures on your own with nobody around you. I mean, that is very difficult. So what happened to you in those times? What happened in your mind when really you are completely alone, no idea about food source, very cold, and you do have no idea what the next day is going to bring? What went through in your mind at those times?
Yeah, in USA, that one day happened that it was so cold I couldn't breathe, and then I decided that I'll not stay in a tent in this part of the world, in a tent. So then I met a lot of hotels. They have motels, so I stay with them in USA. In the night, in the hard time, yeah, it's hard, but once you're tired, you're so tired. Every day you do a lot of walk and cycling, so I get so tired, so I don't get like any time to think about like my hardness. So I just just sleep. And sometimes I feel insecure. In the early time, I was insecure about if some animal or something come, but later on I lose the fear of death. So that's happened later on, but it was a long practice. It didn't happen for like very short time. It took like 4-5 years to be at that level. That yeah. So now I'm in tent. I have there is some maybe tips or some animals, and okay, nothing like I don't have any fear now. So I slept completely well after some time. There was no fear, no any thought that I can die or anything. It was so clean after all.
I think that is just incredible, Nitin, by that insight and your practice. You have, by in many ways eliminated that fear and worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. And that must only come from some incredible deep faith you have. That's the only place it can come, and your search. So that's really wonderful to hear. Want to just ask you a couple more questions. Let's sort of step out of the here and now. If Gandhiji was here, what's the one question you'd ask him?
Oh, maybe I'll ask like, can I join with you?
Right.
Yeah, so that will be like, I want to be with you to practice. He's a different practice. Like you need to be with someone that it's like it create a great form of energy, and once you are with them, like you also like connect with that energy, and you also transform yourself very fast. I'll take like less time to transform myself.
Okay, thank you. And Nitin, before I go on to show some pictures, let me ask you maybe a very difficult question. But what was your favorite food that you encountered as you were traveling? What was the one thing you remember?
My favorite food. I think so. Oat.
You liked oats.
Yeah, oatmeal. Yeah, it's my favorite one because it helped me a lot when I eat in morning. It is very my thoughts, like it's very like in a settled way. They settle down, and it's more light, and it give me a boost for like at least 1 p.m. So it helped me a lot. So it became my one of the favorite food. Today morning I just cooked in my family. Usually in India we don't eat here, but yeah. So I enjoy oatmeal.
It's just wonderful to hear. Just simple food, nourishing food, is what really has stuck in your mind, and that's great to hear. Now, what I wanted to do was just share 3 pictures, because one of the things I asked you was, can you talk about 3 things that happened that you want to share in pictures, right? So I'm just going to share these pictures now. And so can you just describe why these pictures are so important to you? What do they convey from your journey? The first one.
So this picture is from Rwanda. So I visited one school, and early morning I met these beautiful children. As like you see the faces of these children, they are like, in Africa you meet like amazing children. Like they will inspire you every day. They inspire me a lot. So this is the one story. This next one, they are from Rwanda. So when I was there, it was 25 years the genocide happened, and I think this is the first generation, maybe a second or first. So what happened? It was like a terrible. Around more than 1 million people died, and it was like the brothers and sisters, they kill each other, and the family. I meet the prisoner who killed these people. And also when I was walking in a small villages, I see like thousands of people was buried under one shrine because there was no space. So after going through so hard time, Rwanda now one of the best country in Africa. So there is a great, I think so, great inspiration from those picture that this is the next generation of Rwanda, and this is the hope of humanity, that beautiful thing can be happen, the transformation can be happen.
Thank you. Okay, and the next one?
This is the one guy who I met in South Korea, whom I give the flower. And this was the last day I went and I took selfie with him. And then this was the day I left the South Korea.
Yes, and I think just giving that flower and telling him he was a good person made a change, right, in his own mindset. And that's probably why he wanted this photo. And this last one, Nitinbhai.
The last one, I think so, it's about Kanchi Nikeda, Buddhist monk from Japan. So I think so, I'm so blessed I met him in Japan while walking from Kyoto to Hiroshima. Our job was like we used to stay in different houses. So I walked from Japan, in Japan from Tokyo to Hiroshima, and then went to Nagasaki. 1 month I walk alone, and the next month I joined this Nippon Zen Nyoji. So Fuji Guruji is the founder of Nippon Zen Nyoji, and he is the great, I think so, a great Gandhian, because he met Gandhiji in 1930s, and at that time the Fuji Guruji, like the Guruji name is given by Mahatma Gandhiji. So these monks are all across the world. If you go in any temple of them, you see Gandhiji's big picture inside the temple. Wow. They are the spiritual leaders and they are like activists. So 2 things together. So while walking with this group, they walk every year for 2 months from June to August, from Tokyo to Hiroshima and then Nagasaki. So I joined with them for 1 month, and like they used to like everyone gets some work in the walk. So both of us got to work to clean the toilet and the rooms. So he, Ikedarshoni, don't speak too much English, but he understands a little bit, and then we try to understand each other. So while cleaning the toilet and the rooms, we got close, and he said, "I want to walk with me." And in South Africa, we decided to walk together. So I think so. He is one of the compassionate person I met, and I walked with him. So I think so. He changed me a lot in my South African journey. So that's why it's special. This picture is very special. This is how we walked in Africa. This is from Zimbabwe.
Oh, wow, wow. It looks like somebody who really touched you, and probably you touched him for him to join in this incredible journey. Thank you, Nitin. And my last question is, what about the future? You have just completed 5 years, literally yesterday, and you have incredible energy, because after 5 years, you still are awake at 2 a.m. the next day for this talk, which is just incredible. But where are you going to take your energy next?
So in the last 5 years, I was all talking about nonviolence. And after, like, in COVID time, I start reading, and then I realized, like, I need to do something productive that can change the life of people. I need to give some different life choices. So these things come out me, like the seaweed. Seaweed is the plant which grows inside the seawater, and it is a great source of food for vegans and vegetarians. So today I become vegan after like 2-3 years. I start my vegan practice from today morning. So I think so. Seaweed is a great thing that can fight against the climate change, because it captures a lot of carbon, because it's organic. So it captures all carbon from sea, and it can provide us a great food for humanity, because even though today we don't have a good source of food in India, or especially India is just carbon crab, just crab. So we don't have enough good food here. So seaweed will be a very good supplement for Indians and across the world, especially for vegans and vegetarians. So it is free, because we don't need a fertilizer, chemicals to destroy our nature, and helping the nature ecosystem in the sea and ecology inside the sea. And it can give us a great food. Also, it can create sustainable jobs and fighting against the climate change. So 3 things together. I think this is one of the non-violent action. I think so. It's one of the non-violent action that I can get on this planet.
Thank you so much, Nitin, and wishing you the very best with your future journey. And I can see you try to find something to do in the future which helps with climate change, which is non-violent, which uses your experience of technology, and also is very developmental. So the very best. So I just wanted to finally just thank you. I think when you came to London in 2019 and we met, we only met for a few hours, and we spent some time together in central London. But the moment I met you, I felt something, and I don't think I met so many people with just incredible experience, incredible faith, determination, and on top of all of that, humility. There is a lot to learn from you, Nitin, and you're just 30. So I'm sure that there'll be many things that people will learn from you about your experience going forward. So thank you very much. I'm now going to hand back to Shandipbhai. Over to you, Shandipbhai.
Thank you, Ketanbhai and Nitinbhai. So what a journey, and yet only 30. We have something a bit special for you now from the wonderful voice of Kajal Ben. She's going to sing this song dedicated to Gandhiji, obviously one of his recognized songs, but in particular for you for this evening. So Kajal Ben, do you want to take it away?
Thank you. It was very inspirational to listen to you, Nitinbhai. Thank you for sharing everything with us. So I would like to sing one of the songs, a poetry, hymn, a Hindu bhajan, Vaishnav Janato, that was very close to Mahatma Gandhi, written in the 15th century by the poet Narsi Mehta, written in our Gujarati language. And the poem speaks about the life, ideals, and mentality of a Vaishnav. It became very popular during Mahatma Gandhi's lifetime, and I guess it was rendered as a bhajan in his Sabarmati ashram. And it was a very popular song amongst the freedom fighters throughout India, and probably serves as a final song to end a concert or a program. The meaning of the song are very spiritual. I'll read out the translation. Starts by saying, call those people Vaishnav who feel the pain of others, help those who are in misery, but never let self-conceit enter their mind. They respect the entire world, do not disparage anyone, keep their words, actions, and thoughts pure. The mother of such a soul is blessed. They see all equally, renounce cravings, respect other women as their own mother. Their tongue never utters false words. Their hands never touch the wealth of others. They do not succumb to worldly attachments. They are firmly detached from the mundane. They are enticed by the name of Ram. All places of pilgrimage are embodied in them. They have forsaken greed and deceit. They stay afar from desire and anger. Narsi says, I'd be grateful to meet such a soul whose virtue liberates their entire lineage. Vaishnav jan to tene kahiye je, पीढ़ पराई जाने रे, वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे, पीढ़ पराई जाने रे, पर दुखे उपकार करे तो ये मन अभिमान नाड़े रे, वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे, पीढ़ पराई जाने रे, वाच काज मन निश्चल राखे, धन धन जननी तेनी रे, वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे, पीढ़ पराई जाने रे, समदृष्टि ने तृष्णा त्यागी, पर स्त्री ने जेने मात रे, जीवा थकी अस तयने बोले, पर धन नव जाले हाथ रे, वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे, पीढ़ पराई जाने रे, मोह माया व्यापी नहीं जेने, दृढ़ वैराग्य जिना मन मारे, राम नाम शु ताड़ी रे लागी, सकड़ तीरथ तेना तन मारे, वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे, पीढ़ पराई जाने रे, वडलो भीने कपट रहित छे, काम क्रोध निर्वाया रे, बड़े नरसैयों ते नौ दर्शन करता कुड़ एको तेर तार्या रे वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे पर दुखे उपकार करे तोए मन अभिमान न आड़े रे वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराई आड़े रे पर दुखे उपकार करे तो ये मन अभिमान न आड़े रे वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे. Thank you, Shandipbhai. Over to you.
Thank you, Kajaben. That was just amazing. Such a soulful voice. You know, I just wrote on the message, actually, compare that to Shreya Ghoshal. Our CVP has got our own Shreya Ghoshal. So wonderful. Thank you so much. And I'm sure, Nitinbhai, you enjoyed that song very much as well and brought back some memories.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Brilliant. So on behalf of SCVP and Veerayatan, Nitinbhai, thank you so much for your time this morning, as it were, for you. It's early hours of the morning for you. So thank you so much. And we hope to welcome you back again at some point in the future with SCVP. And particularly if you're in London, the doors are open for you to come to us. Just some announcements now for the coming week. So next week, again, another interesting conversation. Details will follow on over the weekend to everyone. So watch out for your WhatsApp groups and the messages. Tomorrow, as announced earlier, in memory of Harshadbhai Sanghrajka, we have the memorial concert at 2 p.m. So again, most of you will have those details on WhatsApp. It's on Zoom. So please do join on that. Finally, Sunday, 28th of November, SCVP are doing a tree planting with the Woodland Trust at Hainault Country Park in Essex from 10:30 a.m. until 1:30 p.m. So please do join. Any further details on that, just contact anyone from SCVP and we'll be able to guide you. Again, the posters have all come out to a lot of people on the WhatsApp. Thank you all so much for joining again this week on the adult class. It's a series of conversations we're having with people who've made a big difference, not just within Jain culture, but life as a whole, humanity as a whole. So thank you for joining. We hope you're learning as much as we are in speaking to these very, very interesting and inspiring people. Jai Jinendra to everyone. Shubhratri, and see you all next Friday. Nitinbhai, thank you so much as well. Ketanbhai, thank you for the interview. Thank you.